it really isn't the case to study to make. As one of the professors at New York University at that time said, the only reason to come to film school is to get your hands on the equipment and to make the movie. They can't tell you how to make the movie. You have to have it in you. You have to have the inspiration, the passion.
Hey guys, now since we did the top 10 best, these are the top 10 worst. The most disgusting, vile piece of, like, trash you could just imagine.
Yep.
Unwatchable.
Yeah, and let me say, I will be going first.
Yes.
Let me just say, all of these movies, while our other movies all made buy full price or wait in line to go see, all of these movies are at least some form of trash. Either crumble, incinerate, compact, or like just the lowest
Disgusting.
of the low. I will not be saying any dishonorable mentions, but I'm sure he has plenty. So, my 10th least favorite film of the year is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. And the way I can sum that up is, all the puzzle pieces are there, but they are in the wrong order. And it does not live up to the emotion, the action, and the humor. Well, the humor, Guardians 2 was pretty funny, but it doesn't live up to a lot of what Guardians 1 presented.
You're right.
My 9th least favorite film of the year is one that many people probably didn't see, and I would not recommend, which was Professor Marston and the Wonder Women.
Ooh.
Why? Just why? If you read the synopsis of the film, you will understand why I'm saying that. Moving on.
Why don't you write Wonder Woman under your real name? Because most Americans have a low opinion of comic book writers? Or is it something else?
My 8th least favorite was Boss Baby. To sum that up, if you looked at the trailer for Boss Baby and you rolled your eyes and scoffed at it, that is basically the reason why it is my 8th least favorite film of this year. My number 7th least favorite film is Daddy's Home 2. Just unnecessary sequel. It's one of those movies where it's not the worst movie I've ever seen, but if you ask me if there's anything good in the movie, I would tell you no. I would tell you there's absolutely nothing. But is it the worst thing ever? No. Which is why it's only number 7. Number 6. Another film that people probably may not have seen, Tulip Fever. It's just dull, dry, overdramatic period piece. It just, fill in the blank with any one of those that you may have seen.
What are you looking at?
What am I looking at?
Number 5, Pitch Perfect 3. Movie we saw an early screening of, and that has no story, no character development, the same theme as Pitch Perfect 2, and pretty much had everything that people who don't like Pitch Perfect movies, that stuff was in this movie.
Fingers crossed.
Number 4, The Mummy. This was it was a box office and critical disappointment. It was one of the biggest laughing stocks, and it just did everything wrong. That's really what I have to say about the film. The characters were wrong, they were super generic, the action wasn't good, it was too dark. It was one of the worst attempts at a cinematic universe since DC, and honestly, I could say that The Mummy was probably worse than some of the stuff that DC has put out. So, that's why that is number 4. Number 3, and one of my personal least favorite movies of all time, the live-action Beauty and the Beast. I could go on for hours as to why I did not like this. The original Beauty and the Beast is one of my favorite movies of all time. I think it's number 3, ironically. And it's a rehash. It has no passion. It's got nothing new, and it's trying to be super modern and relevant, trying to fill in plot holes that they think they're cool by doing, like, oh, now we've explained everything, and by doing that, they make it more dated. And that's all I'm going to say, or else I'm going to go on for hours about how much I dislike this movie. Moving on, my number 2 least favorite movie is King Arthur, Legend of the Sword. It's one of the few movies I gave an F to, and I actually thought of a different way to describe it that I haven't even told you, which is, it's like being inside an artist's mind, how crazy it is in there, like how crazy it must have been in Rian Johnson's head making this Last Jedi, except with King Arthur, that craziness is on the screen.
So what happens now?
And the number 1 worst movie of the year, for me, was the Emoji Movie. And what can I say, just, worst animated movie I've ever seen, one of the worst movies I've ever seen, tries to appeal to millennials by attacking them. logic issues that make no sense, boring stories, a character that is just as interesting as the movie itself, and just,
Please tell me you weren't laughing just now.
oh god, would you like to go? Because I can't say anything about it because it's just so bad.
Some of you
Wow.
may say, oh, why isn't that in there? It was awful. Well, yes, it was, but I may have liked the little thing about it where these movies, I just could not comprehend. I saw 5 movies that almost made the top 10, but they didn't because of 1% that made it not an F film. And those were Circle, Beatrice at Dinner, 47 Meters Down, Kidnap, and Suburbicon. My number 10 movie, Snowman. This movie was unfinished, uncompleted, just a mess, a total waste of time. Good actors and good cinematography, now I know, cannot make a good movie because the story, even though it's a book, the main character's name is Harry Hole. And he's a detective. What? This is just like insane to watch. No one was in the theater, and thank God.
You can't force the pieces to fit.
9th movie, like you said, King Arthur. Mine made it just a little bit higher because, yes, there was a style to it, and it
wasn't a good style.
It wasn't a good style, no, but it was a style nonetheless. And I do appreciate Guy Ritchie's style, but not for this film. It gave me a headache. I needed to take an Advil after watching this.
There's no way that I am fighting.
My number 8 film, like Snowman, even though it's a completed film, it's one of the most complicated movies I've ever seen, Book of Henry. Now I'm glad that he's not making episode 9 because Colin Trevorrow, I just don't like his movies. Safety Not Guaranteed is okay, but man, like it's such, like James Gunn, it's such a one-note film where he says what to do and then you do it, and it's like, oh, the audience cannot comprehend what's going on. Probably the crew couldn't. So why should anyone watch this?
No matter what, don't panic.
I'm not panicking.
My number 7th film, Slate. They marketed this movie like no one probably knows what it is. It's Chronicle meets Iron Man. It's one of the most boring movies that even a student filmmaker can make this movie better. I've seen student short films better than this movie. It was a 90-minute or 100-minute mess of like just a guy who does magic and now he's like has a thing on his shoulder and just like does stuff.
So you do magic.
My number 6 film, Baywatch. I saw this at a screening. I'm glad I didn't even use MoviePass because it's one of the most unfunniest movies I've ever seen. Dwayne Johnson produces this, and like it seems like no one has a passion for it. I didn't even know anything about the old TV show that they were like lifeguards, but they made a movie about that, like 21 Jump Street. But it's one of the most uncompelling movies you will ever watch. It's kind of disgusting, and there's nothing funny about it.
Welcome to Baywatch.
My number 5th film, like Baywatch, it's one of the stupidest action movies, Triple X, Return of Xander Cage. You know how I know it's stupid? Because even Vin Diesel himself said that he will have a day for Stubbs members to go out and see it in IMAX 3D for free. People saw it on one day with that, and it didn't make its money back, like King Arthur. We saw it at a screening where it's like King Arthur Day, Triple X Day. And it's such a stupid movie. Sam Jackson shows up, and then there's like a whole thing where it's like a bomb exploding. Like, I don't know what was going on. Like Fate of Furious made your list, this is Vin Diesel's worst movie.
To look dope while you're doing it.
Number 4, it made my list when it came out the first year. It'll probably make my list next year. 50 Shades Darker. It's such a stupid movie where it's like a stupid romance, and it's like he's like torturing her, but she likes it, but she keeps on telling him no. Like, what am I watching?
You're just gonna stand there gawking?
Yes.
My number 3 movie, like Slate, probably no one has even heard of this. The Comedian.
I heard of Slate, yeah.
Have you heard of The Comedian?
Nope.
Robert De Niro, like, okay, so like he has a minute, or maybe a 5-minute scene where he's in an elderly house and he's singing Poopy, and he's like diapers or like heaven. It's stupid, but the concept itself, which is why it's not number 1, about an aged comedian who doesn't know his boundaries and doesn't know how to keep up with the current age, that sounds kind of interesting, but it's not funny. Like, Big Sick, I didn't like at all, but at least that knew what it was and it had characters and it was kind of funny. The Comedian, a movie about a comedian isn't even funny. Like, how can I even say that?
Do you come up with all that on the spot?
Sometimes, yeah.
My number 2 movie, well, Get Out is one of the better horror movies. Bye Bye Man, one of the worst, not just horror, one of the worst movies I've ever seen. It's not number one because you can enjoy it with your friends if you're stone cold drunk, or if you're like on something. It's stupid funny, which is why it's a good F. I would say it's a good time you can have with it with a popcorn and your friends, but man, nothing's good about this movie. The Bye Bye Man itself is like a bad story gone wrong. Number one is because I saw this with you, the Emoji Movie.
Yep.
What was this? Main character is meh. The audience doesn't even feel that. They feel worse. This is the worst thing I've ever seen. Well, I mean, that's kind of saying something, but
Yeah.
still, the animation, like Sony Pictures, what are you doing? I didn't like anything about this movie, and while there's something like, well, maybe the puns work, or maybe like some of the things where it's like, you know, we need to be who we truly are, we need to like stand out. No.
It's
You
lazy.
can't put a message. It's lazy.
It's
Sweetie, you're so handsome when you make that face. I think he's ready, Mel.
so.
I'm glad we're kind of finishing
As
this
you can
because
see,
I don't
we're
even
in
want to think
agreement.
about this
As you can see, we're
anymore.
in agreement about this. And so, as usual, before you go see a movie, check in with us first. And do not go see these movies. Thanks so much for watching, guys.